Welcome into the Battle of Yorktown, the final and decisive clash that sealed American independence. It's October 1781, and the American and French forces, led by General George Washington and French General Rochambeau, have meticulously encircled British General Cornwallis's troops in Yorktown. After weeks of strategic trench digging and relentless bombardment, the tension reaches a boiling point. On October 14, in a daring night assault, Washington's forces capture critical British redoubts, tipping the scales. By October 17, Cornwallis, faced with overwhelming odds and the impending collapse of his defenses, initiates surrender negotiations. On October 19, the British formally lay down their arms, marking the end of a grueling conflict. This battle not only secured victory, but also reshaped the future, setting the stage for the Treaty of Paris and the birth of a new nation. Join us as we delve into the key moments and strategic decisions that made Yorktown a turning point in American history. To understand how we got here, let's rewind to the summer of 1781. The American Revolutionary War is in its sixth year, reached a critical juncture. British General Charles Cornwallis, having chosen Yorktown, Virginia as his stronghold, was fortified and seemingly invincible, confident that this well-positioned and heavily defended site would protect him from the advancing American and French forces. He awaited reinforcements from Britain, believing Yorktown's defenses and its strategic location would secure him until help arrived. But unbeknownst to Cornwallis, General George Washington, the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, saw an unprecedented opportunity to strike a decisive blow that could end the war. Washington, alongside French General Jean-Baptiste Donation de Vimier, Comte de Rochambeau, devised an audacious and high-stakes plan. The French fleet, under Admiral François-Joseph Paul de Grasse, played a pivotal role in this strategy. De Grasse's mission was not merely to support the ground forces, but to blockade the Chesapeake Bay, effectively cutting off Cornwallis from any reinforcements or supplies from the British fleet. This naval blockade was a crucial element in Washington's plan, intended to trap Cornwallis and his troops in Yorktown, thereby isolating them from any external aid. The meticulous preparation involved in executing this plan was nothing short of extraordinary. Washington and Rochambeau marshaled their combined forces, numbering around 16,000 troops, and meticulously coordinated their movements. This involved not only the tactical deployment of soldiers, but also the careful construction of siege works, including trenches and artillery placements, designed to encircle and gradually choke the British forces. The Allies' preparation was a feat of strategic brilliance and logistical precision, setting the stage for what would become a monumental confrontation. The Siege of Yorktown began with a decisive push on October 6, 1781, when the Allied forces, comprising approximately 16,000 American and French troops, launched their operation against the British stronghold. Under the cloak of darkness, General George Washington and French General Rochambeau orchestrated a meticulous approach. The troops commenced the construction of the first parallel trench, a critical maneuver that placed them within artillery range of the British defenses, while minimizing their own exposure. This trench was a key element of the siege, allowing the Allies to move their cannons closer to the British fortifications and initiate a sustained bombardment. The logistical effort was immense. Soldiers labored around the clock, digging trenches and building fortifications, while engineers and artillerymen set up batteries and siege works. The Allies also constructed a series of redoubts and entrenchments to fortify their position and protect their artillery. The first parallel enabled the Allied forces to establish a dominant position, unleashing a continuous and devastating artillery barrage that severely strained the British defenses. This relentless bombardment not only targeted the British fortifications, but also aimed to disrupt their supply lines and morale, effectively isolating them and gradually weakening their hold on Yorktown. On October 9, 1781, the Siege of Yorktown reached a pivotal juncture as the Allied forces, having meticulously prepared their artillery, launched a decisive assault. By this time, both the American and French artillery had been fully positioned and calibrated for maximum impact. Maximum impact. At 3 p.m., Admiral de Grasse's French fleet commenced a concentrated bombardment, targeting the British defensive positions with precise and relentless fire. The French artillery focused on key British fortifications, including the crucial redoubts and trenches that protected the periphery of Cornwallis's defenses. The initial barrage was designed not just to inflict physical damage, but also to create psychological strain and disrupt British logistical and communication lines. The bombardment was so intense that it caused significant structural damage to the British fortifications and severely hindered their ability to coordinate and resupply. At 5 p.m., General George Washington ordered American artillery to join the assault, amplifying the ferocity of the attack. The American cannons, positioned strategically to maximize their reach, poured a steady stream of fire into the British lines. This simultaneous assault from both the French and American forces created a coordinated and overwhelming pressure on the British defenders. The sheer volume and precision of the cannon fire forced the British troops into a defensive posture, struggling to manage the relentless bombardment. They were already weary from weeks of siege and the constant threat of encirclement. The continuous artillery fire disrupted their operations, damaged their fortifications, and exacerbated their logistical problems, leaving them increasingly isolated and vulnerable. This day marked the beginning of a prolonged and relentless siege that would eventually lead to the critical weakening of Cornwallis's forces and set the stage for their ultimate surrender. On October 11 and 12, the Allies made a critical advance by digging the second parallel trench, which brought them within striking distance of the British defenses and positioned their artillery for more effective fire. This new trench was a formidable engineering feat, enabling the Allies to place their cannons within range of the British fortifications and deliver a more sustained and devastating bombardment. The British, under severe pressure, focused their defenses on redoubts 9 and 10, crucial positions designed to protect their flanks and hinder the Allies' progress. These redoubts were heavily fortified with earthworks and manned by experienced troops, including elements of the British 33rd Regiment of Foot. The defenders, led by Lieutenant Colonel Abercrombie, faced relentless cannon fire and a relentless siege that severely disrupted their operations and morale. Despite their desperate efforts to maintain their positions and fend off the advancing Allied forces, the British defenses were gradually eroded by the continuous bombardment and the relentless pressure of the siege operations. The Allies' strategic positioning in the second parallel and their relentless assault marked a turning point in the siege, setting the stage for the pivotal battles that would soon decide the fate of Yorktown, and, ultimately, the outcome of the American Revolutionary War. On the night of October 14, 1781, the siege of Yorktown witnessed a crucial and audacious maneuver that would turn the tide of the American Revolutionary War. General George Washington, recognizing the strategic importance of the moment, ordered a daring night assault on two key British positions, Redoubt 9 and Redoubt 10. The operation was meticulously planned and executed with precision. Alexander Hamilton, leading a force of 400 American soldiers, spearheaded the assault on Redoubt 10, a heavily fortified position that had been a thorn in the side of the Allied forces. Hamilton's troops, moving under the cover of darkness and guided by the faint light of the moon, approached the redoubt with stealth and determination. Their advance was marked by intense combat as they faced fierce British resistance, but their disciplined and aggressive tactics allowed them to breach the defenses and secure the redoubt by the early hours of October 15. Simultaneously, 400 French soldiers under the command of the Count of Deux-Ponts launched their own assault on Redoubt 9, a vital stronghold that the British had fortified to protect their flanks and prevent the Allies from further encroaching. The French troops executed their assault with equal bravery and skill, overcoming the British defenders and taking control of the position. The successful capture of both redoubts was a turning point in the siege, as it allowed the Allies to complete the second parallel, a trench that brought their artillery dangerously close to the British fortifications. This advancement enabled the Allied forces to intensify their bombardment, escalating the pressure on General Cornwallis's forces and further isolating them from potential reinforcements. The capture of these redoubts marked a significant escalation in the siege, foreshadowing the imminent collapse of the British defenses and setting the stage for the final act of the siege. On October 15, 1781, in a critical and desperate maneuver, the British forces, led by Colonel Robert Abercrombie, undertook a high-stakes sortie aimed at disrupting the Allied siege and reclaiming the initiative. This sortie was launched as a last-ditch effort to counter the relentless artillery bombardment that had been systematically eroding British defenses over the previous days. Abercrombie and his men made a fierce and determined assault on the Allied artillery positions, initially achieving some success by inflicting considerable damage on the cannons and temporarily disabling several key pieces of artillery. This unexpected counterattack momentarily interrupted the incessant bombardment and provided a brief respite for the beleaguered British defenders. Despite their initial success, the British forces faced formidable challenges. The Allies, undeterred by the temporary setback, swiftly mobilized their repair teams and reinforcements. Within hours, the damaged artillery pieces were repaired, and the bombardment resumed with even greater intensity. This sortie not only demonstrated the desperate measures the British were willing to undertake, but also highlighted the mounting difficulties they faced, as their attempts to regain control were met with a determined and adaptive enemy. The rapid recovery of the Allied artillery underscored the dire straits of the British forces and their diminishing options as the siege of Yorktown continued to tighten its grip. On October 17, 1781, as the siege of Yorktown reached its zenith, General Cornwallis, confronted with mounting casualties, dwindling supplies, and the relentless siege tactics of the American and French forces, sought to negotiate terms of surrender. The relentless bombardment and the strategic encirclement by Washington and Rochambeau's troops, coupled with the crucial blockade by Admiral de Grasse's fleet, had left Cornwallis's forces isolated and on the brink of collapse. Recognizing the futility of further resistance, Cornwallis requested a surrender, hoping for lenient terms. However, General George Washington, adamant about securing a conclusive victory, rejected the traditional ceremonial honors of war that often included granting the defeated an honorable exit. Instead, Washington insisted on imposing terms that mirrored those he had seen in the Siege of Charleston, where surrendering forces faced stringent conditions. This included requiring British troops to lay down their arms and surrender their fortifications unconditionally, with no special privileges or dignities extended. Washington's decision underscored the comprehensive nature of the Allied victory and marked a significant shift in the power dynamics of the war. The refusal to grant Cornwallis the traditional honors was not only a reflection of the Allies' superior position, but also a symbolic gesture of the end of British dominance in the American colonies. The formal surrender took place with the British forces marching out of their fortifications, laying down their arms in front of the American and French troops, and signaling the effective conclusion of the Revolutionary War. This decisive moment not only sealed the fate of British forces, but also set the stage for the future of American independence and the eventual signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783. On October 19, 1781, Yorktown witnessed a momentous and symbolic ceremony that marked the effective conclusion of the American Revolutionary War. As the sun rose on that historic day, approximately 8,000 British and Hessian soldiers, who had been besieged by the combined American and French forces, prepared to lay down their arms. The surrender was orchestrated with meticulous precision, reflecting the gravity of the moment. General Cornwallis, despite his prominent role in the conflict, chose not to face the humiliation of surrendering his sword personally. He claimed illness and delegated the task to Brigadier General Charles O'Hara, who represented the British forces in the surrender proceedings. This act of delegating the surrender further emphasized Cornwallis's reluctance to accept defeat and highlighted the shifting tides of power. As the British and Hessian troops marched out of their fortifications, the air was thick with the weight of their loss and the palpable sense of American and French triumph. The ceremony was marked by the solemn yet victorious playing of the world turned upside down, a tune chosen to signify the dramatic reversal of fortunes and the end of British ambitions in America. The troops, in their formal attire and with arms reversed, executed their surrender with military precision, embodying the end of a long and arduous conflict. This surrender not only signaled the collapse of British resistance, but also marked a pivotal moment in history, as it led directly to the eventual signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which formally recognized the United States' independence and concluded the war. The visual and symbolic elements of the surrender at Yorktown encapsulated the culmination of years of struggle and sacrifice, sealing the American victory and securing a new nation's future. The surrender at Yorktown on October 19, 1781, was a turning point that fundamentally reshaped the outcome of the American Revolutionary War. The capture of approximately 8,000 British and Hessian soldiers, along with a substantial cache of artillery and supplies, delivered a crushing blow to British military ambitions. This significant defeat compelled the British Parliament to reconsider their position and open peace negotiations. These discussions culminated in the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which officially ended the war and recognized American independence. The victory at Yorktown not only demonstrated the strategic prowess and effectiveness of the American and French alliance, but also underscored the power of coordinated international efforts. This collaboration between the American forces, led by General George Washington, and the French troops, commanded by General Rochambeau and Admiral de Grasse, was instrumental in securing a decisive victory and ultimately laid the groundwork for the formation of the United States. The triumph at Yorktown thus symbolized the end of British control in the American colonies and marked the beginning of a new era in American history. The Battle of Yorktown is etched in history as the pivotal climax of the American Revolutionary War, a moment when the relentless struggle for independence reached its zenith. The Allied forces, through a blend of meticulous strategy, exceptional coordination, and sheer determination, achieved a victory that fundamentally altered the trajectory of American history. The encirclement of General Cornwallis's troops, the successful blockade by the French Navy, and the decisive siege operations conducted by the American and French forces collectively forced the British to surrender, signaling the impending end of British colonial rule in America. This battle not only showcased the effectiveness of international alliances, but also highlighted the profound impact of strategic planning and perseverance. The victory at Yorktown catalyzed the subsequent peace negotiations, leading to the Treaty of Paris and the formal recognition of American independence. This monumental event stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of those who fought for freedom and serves as a profound reminder of the transformative power of united effort and strategic acumen. Thank you for joining us on this detailed exploration of the final battle of the American Revolution. If this journey through history resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more in-depth historical analyses and explorations. Until next time, continue to delve into the past and stay curious.